Hello and welcome back to the Roxo Test Kitchen. I'm Samantha Graber, your hostess. Today we are making rolls for Thanksgiving because I don't know about you, but I like a good roll, especially when there's some yummy gravy or something to sop up. So we have recorded this before and then we have to record this again. And there's a little technical difficulties. So for part of the video, you're just gonna see the angle from above here and the angle when I'm making the dough. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the old director's, what was that thing? I don't even know what that thing's called. Anyway, so this is gonna be a director's cut basically. So you're gonna see a little more behind the scenes. To get us started, though, I think now I'm just gonna say, go ahead and cut, but then we'll come back in just a moment. And scene. Let's get started. We're gonna start here. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, bread is just a vehicle for butter. I mean, it's just, I'm gonna call it what it is. So the neat thing about that is, as you're probably aware, this channel is all about lower carb versions of foods so that we can keep our blood sugar low. When we add a good healing fat like awesome butter to bread, vegetables, other items like that, you really help decrease the height of the glucose curve. So just a little something for you to know. Hey, if you weren't paying attention, now you are. All right, so we're gonna do 1.25 cups of almond flour. That makes the difference. What I have noticed with your almond flour, you want to see where it says something like finely ground so that it's not mealy. That does make a difference with texture. And as you're probably aware, most of what we eat, it's all about the texture. Just ask any 2-year-old, right? I mean, I don't like the texture. I know 50-year-olds that don't like the texture. So that said, it's a great way to be able to make a shift. So we want 1.25. And I just kind of press it down. It's not heavily packed like brown sugar, but it's level and packed. Boop. All right. And then we're gonna grab this. I love the design of this thing who gave us an area to level it off. That was really helpful. These were people thinking of something. I'm just gonna mix that around for a second. I'm gonna put some salt and then our egg. Okay, you guys go there. So how's your holiday time going? You feeling stressed? You feeling ready? You excited, or are you anticipating family drama? What's going on with you? Let me know in the comments. A good place to listen, good place to get some stuff out. Your family doesn't need to know you're anticipating some drama. And if you are, maybe you set yourself up to minimize that by having some tough conversations before you go. Just realized I needed to put 2 of these. That's why you'll see me repeating that. Anywho, I know family stuff can be not so great, not so fun, but sometimes we make it more difficult than it has to be because we feed the drama, right? I'm looking at you. I've been there. I think that's one of the things about holidays, that we can anticipate, some stress, and it makes them not as fun. But the neat thing about it is you can choose to not contribute to it, right? It's not always easy, but it's always valuable. All right, therapy session done. Now we get back to cooking. All right, so you want to make this smooth, so it's got like a typical dough, right? And then we're gonna add our wet ingredients in just a moment. Get rid of these guys out. Now, if you've been a more traditional baker where you've used gluten flour and all those things, the texture is going to be different, and the properties of these items are sometimes different as well. Like the almond flour is pretty absorptive. Coconut flour is even more absorptive. So you have to learn some difference in the physics and the chemistry of food, but that's kind of fun. And once you get this mastered, if that's even possible to master baking, I don't know, I'm not a master baker. But you have a whole new world unfold for you where you don't have to worry about that blood sugar stuff. You can really enjoy different foods and be able to participate in different activities without feeling like you're missing out, because there's nothing about missing out. No one wants that. All right, so now meet me over at the stove. We're gonna do our cheese and our cream cheese. We're gonna mix that together. Okay, so I've learned a couple things in my time of doing some of these recipes. And one of those things is start low and slow and heat up as you go. Oh, all of that rhymed. So we're gonna go like this, about medium heat. Let this warm up. And one thing I've noted that really helps is to break down the cream cheese just a bit before you put it in. So I just do it in blocks. And then that way it helps with its meltability, which yes, is a new word. You heard that here. So I'm gonna go like so. And I'm just using a dull butter knife so that I don't cut myself. Put you in there, and I wait until I see this start to melt, and then I'll put in the mozzarella cheese because that melts pretty quickly. So while we're waiting for that to melt, I'm going to get out the cheese and be ready for that. And it's okay to have some of your dry ingredients get in. Nobody's policing. Okay. Starting to see that soften up. So here we go. I have 3 cups of the cheese. And I just put them all in at the same time. There we go. There's one. Normally I don't do the pre-shredded cheese, but it's really helpful for this particular recipe. But in my normal day-to-day, I would shred it all ourselves. This one, I like the way it melts better. All right, so just every so often, get in here, mix it around. Okay, so you don't want to go too far away from it, but once it starts melting, it goes pretty quickly. Just takes a moment to overcome that heat level. And you could use, a wooden spoon. That would be great as well. I just like this gal. So here you can start to see that it's beginning to melt. So now I just keep folding in and pushing down a little bit, allowing the cheese to melt nicely. I wouldn't be so messy. Keep it all in there. The more you can get them kind of blended in at this stage, the better it is for when we mix it with the other dough, with the almond flour and egg mixture. Okay, about another minute, and then we're going to let it sit off the heat so it'll cool down, because we're going to use our hands, and this is quite hot. Okay, looking pretty melted. Now we'll take it off the heat, let it sit for a few moments, then I'll meet you back at the big bowl. All right, time to bring our melted cheese over. So before you start doing the dough, take your rings off and all the things you might do. Wash your hands. Just did that. Okay. Now you can use gloves as well if you like. Let me come in here with something. So I'm going to cut this into two dough sections. I mean, look at that. It has the consistency of dough. It's so cool. I love it. So we'll get those into a little smaller. Let's do 3. A little smaller so we can work in 3s instead of trying to tackle all of this in one fell swoop. But all that said, you want to add, or you want to combine it with about equal amounts of the dough that's in here, the almond part. So much section this into one. It's a little bigger, so you'll get all that, and you'll get all that. Cool. All right, now have some fun. Remember, like playing with Play-Doh? This is what this is. Let's squeeze, really get it mushed up. The better you do that now, just the more consistent your rolls, their texture is going to be. And remember, it's all about the texture and the butter. Don't forget that. All right. Oops. So I'm probably just going to be mushing on this. It's kind of therapeutic, and it's I don't know, it's like a sensory exercise. So I'll be doing this for a while, and we'll check back with you in a few moments. Okay, this is a little extra sticky, so I am going to add a little bit of almond flour to it. Sometimes it's like that. You never know which one it's going to be, so I really should have put out maybe a tablespoon or so before I got my hands on all this. I'm going to do that right now. Let me save as much of this as I can. Let's put a little bit of almond flour. We don't need a lot, and anything we don't use, we'll put right back in our bag. And while I'm at it, I got to thinking, I should have pre-cut my plastic wrap. Not a big fan of plastic wrap, but it really does help with this particular recipe. We're going to wrap up this dough into a nice little ball and then put that in the fridge for 12 to 24, 48 hours. I already made it ahead one from yesterday, so I can show you how to bake that up today. But I did note that it's easier if you do that without the sticky paws. All right, so let's just add a little bit of almond flour for this next one. Okay, so very much like just traditional flour-based dough. Or wheat flour, I guess. Okay, pop it a little bit. And just kind of be present to this and feel the different, the warmth on your hands and the ooziness. Kind of meditative in a way. And the more consistently you do it, the better it turns out on the other. So you can see as you're going through, we don't want any chunks of the almond flour, and we don't want too much of a chunk of just the cheese. Although, I mean, no harm, no foul, but it does help. All right, once we get this third one done, we're gonna mix them all together. And this is starting to get a little bit less melty because it's, the temperature is coming down from the heat, which is great too. I think that I didn't wait long enough maybe for it to cool down a bit before I started working on it. And then that just always makes it a little slicker, a little stickier. So maybe we just need to give it more time. All right, let's bring everybody into the same bowl. So I'm just looking for any of these sections that have just a bit more of a clump of the almond flour and mixing that in nicely. Now it's mixing out. And if you'd like, you can season this at this stage if you wanted to put maybe some garlic powder in there, a little more salt if you like. We're going to be doing not an egg wash, a butter wash on top, and then adding some salt on some, and then some of the everything bagel. I was thinking Anytime Fitness is where I work out. Everything bagel on that. Speaking of working out, it's fun to do this too, and I'm realizing, if I've been working my arms kind of hard lately, as you're cooking, you want to go from one side to the other side, maybe do a little stretch beforehand, especially when you're getting ready for your marathon of getting Thanksgiving ready. Neat thing about this particular recipe is you can make this well ahead. So you can actually, if you don't bake them and just store the little balls frozen, take them out the morning of or even the evening before and let them thaw in the fridge, and then be ready to bake them up. You'll have the instructions. If you'd like the instructions, we have a printable that we send out to accompany each of these recipes. And all you have to do is share with us your first name and your email, and we will send that over to you. And we are not spammers. We will never sell your stuff to anyone else. I guard it like I guard my own. All right, but we've got a lot of different variations that you can use on this if you'd like, and I'm happy to share those with you. I'm gonna do this, and then we're gonna make it into one big ball, and then by the magic of TV, I'm gonna go get the other one that I already did. Because you will need to make this dough at least 12 to 24 hours, 48 even, ahead of when you want to cook them. I don't want to waste any of this, so let me put out the sides. There's always that regret. It's like, man, I should have scraped down the sides. I want one more roll. Okay. All right. I just washed my hands. Be right back. So I'm going to grab this out with our plastic wrap. There we go. And what I've noticed the last time that I used this dough, this is a fathead dough that we've modified a bit to make it for rolls. But what I noticed before is if I form it in a way that now I can cut it down the middle and cut into the different sections. That really helps. It's just, yeah, each time you do something, you note little things that can speed it up or make it easier next time. And that was one of them. All right, so gonna go get the other one that's already ready. All right, so now I'm gonna go grab the dough that I already made out of the fridge. And this dough you'll see in the previous things. You watched me prepare it, you were able to see that, but you just didn't see me head on. Alrighty, so now as I was mentioning in those last ones, after we take it out of the fridge, the nice thing is to make it the rolls. We can just cut it down the middle. Let me grab a knife for that. And then we can section it off. I'm going to do 10 of these instead of 12. I have 10 to 12 in the recipe. And if you'd like to grab the recipe, there's a link in our description that just asks for your first name and your email address. And then we will send you all of the recipes that we've done for the test kitchen up to now, and then you'll get each of them in the future. All right, so I'm gonna put this here. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna do 10. So if we go 1, 2, 3, that means we need a 5. This is where I use algebra. It's where we use algebra. All right, 1, 2. All right, yeah, so the first time I did this, I did it with 12, and they came out a little too small, so I like this idea of doing 10. We're ready. But before I go get my hands all dirty, I'm gonna cut out the parchment paper that we need. We're using our handy dandy little Ninja countertop, I guess. It's an air fryer, baker, dehydrator even. I mean, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna use this here. And what I usually do is put this down first and then cut off the excess or just fold it down. Let's try folding today. There we go. All right. I used to get in here and play with dough. Remember like working with Play-Doh? Oh, it was so much fun. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do something else. So the last time when we made them, I had just dusted the everything bagel and the salt on it, but now I'm gonna actually roll the dough in the everything bagel and then just dust it with the salt. Otherwise it'd be really super salty. But I think, let me go grab a plate before I get my hands too caught up in this. All right, so I'm gonna roll them first and then I'll do the immersion. There's something satisfying about this recipe, as you'll notice from the other angles as well, is just getting your hands in there, like especially making that dough. I don't know, it's kind of soothing in a way. I'm gonna get them a little bit so they're at least similar sizes as we're cooking, or height, I should say. So I didn't do such a great job of getting the sizes all similar, but that's all right. So I'll just be taking a peek on that, and once the smaller ones look like they're done, I'll just take them off if I need to. That is part of baking. Baking is like way more particular and specific than I normally am in the kitchen. But we've been doing a fair bit more baking. Tyler's been making these really good crackers, and it's kind of like anything in life, you have to do this a good few times to really get your rhythm. So don't feel like you've got to get this perfect. I am certainly not, right? So we will just enjoy. I think I'll put the smaller ones on the inside. Okay, so now to do what I was talking about earlier, I'm gonna roll a few of these in here. Ooh, kind of like a full bagel. I could make bagels with this. Oh, please hold. I'm gonna make a bagel or two. One of these days. I know they make these trays that you can kind of make the shape of the bagel. That's gonna be one of our next recipes. Totally. Ooh, I'm excited. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. Yeah. Can also make my favorite kind of bagel, which is an Asiago bagel. I just love those. Yeah, I'm gonna make these a little flat, but not too flat. You stay. Okay. I'm not even gonna bother with the butter at this stage. I might do it after because I'm just doing it like this and I didn't want to get it too messy. I might have to do the butter for the salt ones though. And you'll probably never hear this again, that I'm not going to use butter when I originally anticipated using butter. So don't get used to that. That is not my normal reality. I'm kind of any excuse for butter, I'm taking it. I'm trying to do different. This is fun. Kind of like artwork. All right, let me just melt a little bit of the butter and I'll put that on for these smallers. Okay. Put a little barely butter on here, and that'll help the salt stick a little bit. Flatten these just a bit. Okay. All right, and heat this up. All right, one thing I like about this is it takes no time to heat up, this Ninja little countertop deal, and then it will just start counting down right away. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. It'll just take a minute to heat up. And then I will see you right back here in about 18-20 minutes, but it'll only be maybe 30 seconds on your end. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so here is our goodness all together. We have a couple that got a little darker, but it's just crisp up cheese. I mean, come on now, that's all good stuff. Okay, so I had tried to make some that would be more like buns versus rolls, and they ended up just getting flat because it's mostly cheese, all good. But if I kept it in the ball, and we got to thinking after I put these in, I should have rolled the dough in some of the everything bagel. That would have been really good. So next time. But overall, I'm really happy with these. I let them cool off for a bit. And now for my favorite part, butter. Okay, so we're gonna cut one of these open. Let's just see what the consistency is. Pretty darn good. All right. You can't really see that, but they're nice and dense. Very good. You could even cut them a bit. Yeah, it's got a nice texture. Now, I'm not sure what a ratio should be, but I know for me, it's as much butter as I can possibly get on one of these. All right, let's give it a shot. Oddly enough, it's not very cheesy. It has a little cheese to it, but it's like an English muffin. I think I just found my English muffins. That's what we're gonna do. Definitely a hit. Highly recommend. You make a couple different variations of it and maybe try putting them in the little pull apart, because they didn't raise as much as I was anticipating. I don't know why I was thinking they were gonna raise that much. It's just almond flour, a bunch of cheese, and a little bit of baking powder. But overall, incredibly good. Excellent vehicle for butter. I'm gonna eat about 3 of these. So I will catch you next time. If I don't see you till after Thanksgiving, I hope you had a wonderful holiday and are into the holiday spirit in December. Bye for now.